Hey, everybody. We're coming back with Coach Henry Toraño today, and we're starting to hear conversation around the world about potentially reopening business, the economy, and part of that is very likely going to be certain types of gyms. For most people listening to this, you probably will be on phase one, at least as the United States is deeming it, of the list of returning to gyms, meaning smaller gyms or places where people can distance or personal training, et cetera, et cetera. So thought it'd be cool to bring Henry on to talk about maybe some of the things that he's talking to his clients about when they're thinking about going physically back into a gym setting. Now, a little caveat, Henry obviously owns an OPEX gym as well, and we're talking about what the gym owner needs to do to get the gym back up and running effectively. So part of the context that Henry's going to talk about is the gym might look a little bit different, and it's going to be important for you to sort of think about what those differences might be so that you can continue to progress your training and still have a great experience. So Henry, thanks for coming on, man. And first question to you is, what do you think that somebody needs to be prepared for when they go back? Like, do you think they need to be prepared with masks and gloves and like they're doing power cleans with gloves? Like what are you talking to your clients about to mentally start to get prepared for this?
Yeah, I think before we even think about walking into the gym, it's how do you make that decision of whether or not you even want to go back into those environments, which are definitely a little bit higher risk than the the contact we have with others right now. For one, and I think it's just something that we need to realize, the vast majority of people have been getting by fairly well with equipment that has been loaned out or rented from gyms. You don't get to decide if the gym opens or not. That's ultimately going to be the gym owner's decision, and the gym cannot open if you still have their equipment. So that's another thing that may kind of influence, your perspective, because you may say, oh no, I mean, I have my barbell and my kettlebell and my borrowed bike. Like, yeah, that's all going back to the gym. So if you're thinking about staying at home, that's more than likely going to look like full body weight workouts, unless you have your own stuff. Otherwise, like, you're going to need to actually figure out if you want to continue to work on your fitness, how to protect yourself in those scenarios. So, like, I don't know where you want to start with the gym. If it's, my perspective as a gym owner, as a coach, and what would I tell clients, or like my own perspective as somebody who goes to the gym.
Let's start with your own perspective, because somebody could kind of put themselves into your shoes for a second, and then we'll move into you as the coach talking to them as the client. So if you are thinking about going back into the gym, what do you as a client or as a worker outer want to make sure that you're doing?
I would personally not want to leave anything on the hands of the gym. It's fantastic if they have great procedures, but everything that you could ask that a place do, you can do that. Like, you can have your own hand sanitizer. You can wash your hands when you come in, before you touch anything, etc. You can have your own wipes that nobody else has touched. So you can clean your own barbell before you even use it. After, your dumbbells, keep everything tight. You control the amount of space that you use in the gym, what you disinfect, what you get your hands on or not. You mentioned the entire mask thing. I can't even fathom what it feels like to be working out inside my gym in Puerto Rico with a mask on. I'm definitely going to try it if it offers a level of protection, but I still don't have an opinion on it. But then again, it's everyone's choice on whether or not you want to wear it and try to endure that. But I think the main takeaway there is, and there was a lot of talk about it, like, oh, what do you do to avoid catching the virus? Well, you do the things that you're supposed to do that don't make you a slob. You wash your hands. If you sneeze into your hands, you wash them. You don't, if you're all snotty, you don't go to work, you don't go to the gym. So it's going back to those principles and just like actually applying them, because we all know them. Like, we've been told this since we were like, I don't know, 3, 4. So really just applying all of these things and making sure that I have all the things that I need to make that as safe as possible for me. yeah, people can come and try to invade your own personal space in your, your 6-foot radius, whatever. You are fully capable of running away in the other direction and not allowing people of getting close to you. That's the first thing I'd say is, how much do you want to get exposed? And I fully believe that you can be in a public space and control how much exposure you're actually getting if you have some type of awareness around your surroundings.
So you mentioned some really good things, and if you reiterate them, awesome. Don't worry about it. What are some of the things that you as a client would look for that could potentially be risk adding?
Increasing risk?
Well, so I'm saying, so you gave the example, if somebody's walking into your 6-foot space, you can leave the space. Like, what are some of the things that you would say, okay, I as a client am going to do this every day. So I'm going to bring hand sanitizer, I'm going to bring wipes, I'm going to wash my hands before and after, I'm going to clean my barbell or my equipment before and after. Are there other places in that gym experience, just thinking to myself, it's like, what about putting your clothes away? Like, are you going to wear the clothes to the gym that you're going to train in? Blah, blah, blah. Like, what are some of the places that you have control over that you don't want to increase your own risk?
Oh, well, definitely the bathrooms. So all common area that that people are frequently touching. Water coolers, if there is one in your gym, water fountain. So this would be as good a time as any to bring your own water into the gym. Just to avoid that as well. I've really been thinking about the chalk bucket quite often since this all started, because you can't clean the chalk, right? The entire purpose of chalk is to absorb liquids, hence everything that may be in your hands. So I'm definitely encouraging my clients to bring their own chalk, and I would do so as well. Countertops. So everybody, like, it's you kind of do that unconsciously. You walk into a place, you say hi, and you tap on the counter or lean into it or whatever. Like, you definitely want to be mindful of that, because you can't control what has been on that countertop and whether or not the employees have cleaned it. Yeah, and I guess that also raises a real good point on whether you should wear gloves or not. We talked about masks. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about the gloves, because the gloves are only clean once you put them on, right? 5 seconds later, it's the same as your hands if they weren't washed. So I'm, maybe somebody else can chime in on that later on or comment on the video, but I'm not so sure that would be too much of a factor that increases or decreases risk dramatically.
I shouldn't say every, most of the things that I have read would say that gloves would be beneficial. However, what's most beneficial is not touching your face. So it's like, if you use gloves and then touch your face, it's still the same outcome, that's on the glove. So I think that's an interesting idea. I guess one of the things that came to mind when you said bathrooms is, if I'm a client, I'm not getting anywhere near a shower. I'm not stepping foot into a shower or anything like that for a little bit, even if they are clean, just because you're exposing your entire body to that, even if you wear flip-flops or whatever. Also, you got to think about doors and stuff too. You walk into the gym, you're probably used to opening a door. That's something that you want to think about as well. It's anywhere public. I mean, we're talking about in the context of a gym, but I don't care if it's a gym, a restaurant, a grocery store, a bank, whatever. It's all the same stuff. I think that people are going to think about this a lot. And if you want to start getting back out there, you're just going to have to take some precaution. To your point, the awareness piece is so critical right now. When you're thinking about working out itself, are you going to train normally? Like, are you going to train differently in the gym, or might you change anything there? And then also too, for your clients, what are you thinking about there?
Yeah. So at any time that I can, it will be a little bit different. I'm one to put all of my stuff away before I move to another piece. So if I'm done with the barbell, barbell gets brushed and it gets put away and all the plates get put away, then I go pick up the dumbbells. I'm more than likely not going to do that, and instead kind of keep everything in my station and close to me from before I start to ensure that, once I'm done, I properly clean everything, and that, none of that stuff has been out of my sight really, from when I first saw it to when I actually reached for it. That could be, a big factor for coaches as well, as far as how they program workouts for clients, where it may not be doable to just have them running around the entire gym, and you may have to think about that logistics aspect of the equipment needed for each session, so that they're not taking up half of the gym and equipment for every session. And definitely the gym, as far as the owner and whoever has, supervising floor coaching duties, to let people know, nah, dude, you can't have 6 pairs of dumbbells, a barbell, a bike, a rower, and the ski in one session. We need to figure something out there.
Yeah, that makes me think about the gym owners. I know OPEX gyms are thinking about this for sure, but scheduling time blocks as well to allow for 5 to 10 minutes of cleaning up between every group of people that come in. If you have pieces of equipment and you're going to extra clean it, you're going to need a few minutes to really clean it effectively. And just kind of giving yourself that amount of time as a client is very beneficial. What about the floors, Henry? Are you going to be doing burpees?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah, man. I mean, I guess that's something for everybody to decide whether or not they want to take that risk. If I was going to a commercial gym, I'd ask my owner to have a mop and a bucket with some whatever disinfecting detergent on it, and maybe mop up my area of floor before I actually get on it. Maybe bring in my personal mat, towel, something to kind of get between my skin and the ground. And I'd definitely be a lot more conscious about going shirtless for sure.
Gotcha. Yeah. Also too, being careful of movements like carries and lunge walks, where you're kind of moving between stations. We're basically telling OPEX gyms just to not do that. Not program that stuff in the gym just because of the potential risk. Okay, awesome. So any kind of last words that you would give to somebody going back into the gym, or if somebody's I might go back, I might not go back. What is your advice to them?
Yeah, I'd say that, we need to realize that at some point, whatever that point is for you, life needs to go on. I don't think that there's ever going to be a zero risk factor. And, we know about the flu. We know that it comes every year. Well, get used to Corona being there. We were talking before we started, the call. It's not a matter of if, but rather when. You're going to catch it at some point. Somebody very close to you is going to have it. Hopefully, things are way more controlled. There's vaccines, there's treatments when that happens. And you also need to be aware of the fact that once things start opening up, cases are going to spike. They have to go up, because if the lockdown makes them go down, opening it up has to increase cases. So be ready for that. And, man, just do what you can for yourself, and implement the safety precautions that you can, and make sure that you're strict about it, so you're not relying on everybody else around you to do so.
Yeah, I love that as kind of a last point of take care of yourself as best as you can, whether you stay at home or don't, but be aware, be careful, keep yourself nice and cleaned up, and make sure that you're not touching a whole bunch of extra stuff just because you're not paying attention. But Henry, thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate this. I think this will give some folks some good stuff to think about as they're, thinking about coming out of the lockdown. So I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Thank you, Jim.
All right.
Oof.